Hello Factorio people, welcome back to the broadcast from Space Age XL, where we're planning on megabase in it. Bigly! Thank you for all the support, as always. If you want to do the old like, comment, subscribe for me, that would be very good. Last time we got started on Fulgora, today we're going to get all the stuff we want from Fulgora sorted. And then we'll have all the inner planets done. We can think about the next steps. Sorry, I'm transfixed, absolutely transfixed by the intro screens. That's not the best way to load a train, is it? Oh god! He can't hear me, he's got his earpods in. Oh dear. Alright, let's jump into it, shall we? Alright, this is where we were at. We just had a scrap sorting system going. That's basically all we'd done. I decided that I didn't want to use too many logistics robots on Fulgora this time. Last time I used nothing but logistics robots, and it was fine. But I wanted things to be a bit more readable this time. It does turn into a bit of a spaghetti mess, but that's fine, that's what you want, right? That's what you want. And then we got an accumulator farm going on over here. So all we really want is electromagnetic science packs and obviously we want some EM plants to take back to Nalvis. We have to make these. You can only make electromagnetic science packs in an EM plant, so if you have one, you will naturally have the other. So let's skip forward in time. See how I process this. Okay, so we need to get holmium plates, of course, we do. That's not too taxing. Just run some of the holmium and the stone through. And then you can make refined concrete with everything from the scrap as well. So we're just sort of like forcing it in at the moment. We're not making too much of an effort to think about the future. We're just getting what we want done. So obviously this won't last forever here. This is very slapped in, but we need some refined concrete. And once we've got a whole bunch of refined concrete, we'll have the EM plants that we need. Processing units is usually the bottleneck. Well, I mean, holmium is always the bottleneck, but processing units is like your secondary bottleneck. A lot of good stuff needs processing units. Mostly the EM plants. These are very processing unit heavy. I've also on Nalvis added another set of this tree growing thing. I still haven't quite yet worked out that this is a terrible idea. Shift left click to cancel upgrade orders. Yeah, there we go. I do want to upgrade everything to blue belts eventually, but one, using an assembly plant, this assembly machine is not a very good idea when we've got foundries, and two, when my Fulgora shuttle goes back because I need more belts, then having Nalvis have a 30,000 blue belt demand. Not the best idea. Not the best idea. Also, somebody is going to get in big trouble because I had a power supply issue, and I was like, why the hell do I have a power supply issue? I never hooked this up to water. I built this, and it was stood there for the longest time, and I didn't even think about it. And then one day I ran out of power, and I was like, why the hell have I run out of power? So I came over to this nuclear power plant, never hooked it up to the water supply. So everyone, I thought the whole point of making YouTube videos of Factorio is so that people could go into the comments and go, actually streamer, this one green belt is rotated incorrectly. Sorry, I'm making fun of the people who watch these videos, that's not very fair. But I am blaming you for this, so there we go. I'm adding another one of these tree growing things just because the one I've put here is fine. It does work. Very good at reducing pollution below 60, which is where the trees start taking damage, and then after that it's not quite so good. So you can see these trees are a bit rubbish because the pollution value is over 60, but once that initial here, this green one, pollution absorbed by damaging trees, once the initial like damage has been done and the pollution value goes below 60, it becomes less good. But I wanted to see exactly how good it is on this side, because this side is where the pollution, you know, is actually maybe going to cause some problems. Maybe, not that it really will, of course. But I thought I would at least put another lot here and see, you know, do a secondary test. We need more data, basically. We need more data on this tree farming thing. And over here, you know, a lot of the pollution is coming from here, where all the foundries and stuff are. So I thought putting it here might be a good test, but it's not built yet because of the complete lack of blue belts. What is this? Their scrap output is jammed. Why did I think this was a good idea? Oh, it's really, really not a good idea, is it? Don't do it like that. It's such a terrible idea. Just ignore it. Just ignore it. Don't worry about it. Water, holmium plates, etc. Okay, good. I think my substation grid is misaligned somewhat, isn't it? Yeah, this is too close together. Alright, things to fix. Lots of things to fix. This is where I realised that this was such a stupid system. In my mind, I thought, oh hang on, I haven't opened my draw on screen thing. There we go. In my mind, I thought, oh, I'll make an alert for when the input is blocked, and then I'll do something with that, like with this. You know, I'll have a splitter that takes junk when this is full or something. And then I thought, well, why the hell am I doing that? Clearly, if this is full, then none of these inserters are going to grab it, so just run the junk off afterwards. So, like, clearly up here you can see that all of these chests are full, and so these inserters aren't doing anything, so this can go into the rubbish. I over-engineered it big time. I'll talk more about the scrap a little bit later, but for now we're not making enough to worry about too much about it. All I'm really doing is scrapping iron gear wheels. Iron gear wheels scrap into iron plates, and then iron plates get turned into iron chests. The recycling recipe is based on the crafting time, so really you want to just try and find items that have one ingredient that craft very quickly into something else, and then you can just scrap that as a rule of thumb. Alright, so we're making the electrolyte as well, just with a bit more stone and the heavy oil. The heavy oil, of course, comes out of the ground. And so that's all good. That's all good. How's Nalvis doing? Basically still not doing anything. That's fine. It's okay. It's okay. What are we researching? I mean, Gleber is... We need to go back to Gleber. Gleber is definitely on the to-do list. Like, this is not really cutting it anymore. This 90 science a minute, because the biolabs on Nalvis can make... Have I fixed the stupid flashing lights? I haven't fixed the stupid flashing lights yet. What a bad idea that was. But, you know, like... We're on infinite researches, basically, for the Gleben sign, so it's really not that important. We can just leave it ticking over while we're in the, you know, in the background, doing other stuff on other planets. Alright, let's keep going, shall we? Yes, the spaghetti is beginning to take shape here. I really like Folgora. It amazes me that some people who look at Gleber and go, I don't want to deal with it, it's rubbish. But I never hear any of those complaints about Folgora, and they're kind of, they have a lot of similarities, right? Like, if you just think that spoilage is stuff that you're getting from scrap that you don't want, And how is it... Anyway, I'm on my soapbox again. Oh no, he's on his bloody soapbox again. You need green circuits on Fulgora for the supercapacitors, but you can't get green circuits. You can only get green circuits by recycling processing units and red circuits. They don't come from the scrap. So what I am doing here is I am scrapping processing units into green circuits, turning the green circuits into supercapacitors on this bit, and then any red circuits get scrapped. Any red circuits specifically from this get scrapped and turned into plastic, and then the plastic goes into this process as well. This is obviously like a first draft of this. You can see that this is scrapping a hell of a lot of green circuits for no real reason. Quick solution, of course, is to do something like this. Only enable this belt when there is a lot of green circuits on the belt. You know, let's say... I've got to read the belt first. That's the wrong one. Read this belt, and then enable this when the green circuits is more than... Yeah, let's say 500. Why not? Let's say 500. This will... Your plastic, you'll always have enough plastic. It's the green circuits that you want to make sure that you are controlling for. This will slow down the scrap slightly. It will also make sure that you're not scrapping processing units unnecessarily. If you're scrapping them here and then the green circuits are just going into the scrap here, you're kind of just scrapping processing units endlessly for no real reason, and processing units tend to be one of your bigger bottlenecks on Fulgora, in my opinion. And then we need copper plates as well, which you get from scrapping copper wire. We also have copper wire coming from the scrapping of advanced circuits, but again, this is all just... I spend a lot of time here making sure that everything is working and works independently of intervention in the same way that I did for Gleba, you know. And that usually involves going into the editor, pressing play, turning the speed up to 64, and just leaving it for a bit and seeing if anything obviously breaks. Sort of just like a test environment, really, so... And then if it doesn't break, then I know that it's fine. Then I reload the save, and then I know that it will be fine. Alright, cool. Let's move on. Okay, the electromagnetic science is in. Just need some accumulators. Very easy to get accumulators. You get the batteries from the scrap, and you can scrap your absolute preponderance of iron gear wheels to make iron plates. My cat is arrived and is being very loud for some reason. Sorry if you can hear her. What's the matter? I put your food away because you weren't eating it, and if you want the back door open, which you do, because you also complain about not being able to go outside at will, then flies come in and eat your food. Because it's stupid, expensive, fancy pants food that flies love to... Anyway. Flies are like, oh, a dead animal. Excellent. Which I suppose is good. That the flies don't consider it to be, like, absolutely heinous to even maggots. Sorry, this has gone very, very disgusting, but she is being very loud, as you can probably hear, and she's climbing on things, and I'll play with her in a minute. Don't worry. Don't worry, folks. Anyway, okay. I had to put more scrap things in, just because it wasn't enough. Ice is full, mostly, pretty much. Ice is full, we'll sort that later. Processing units is fine. Holmium is of course the problem, as it always is. But now that we're full on EM plants, it's less of an issue. The plates are going into everything. It's all good, it's all good, it's all good, as I say. We're still just sort of scrapping green circuits willy-nilly, and it's causing a bit of a problem, but lights is a good one. lamps take iron plates, copper cables and electronic circuits, which you will probably have a lot of from the scrap. They only take half a second to craft, and as such they only take... That was the completely wrong button. They only take 0.03 of a second to scrap. So lights is a pretty good one. This has made 860 lights just by grabbing stuff that is being scrapped anyway. Pipes is also quite good, but there's a better thing you can do with the iron, and I'll show you that. I'll show you that in a minute. So there we go. We have the electromagnetic science packs. 108 per minute, just roughly our 100 per minute target for now. We got our Fulgora shuttle here waiting for some. Oh god, we've run out of power. Alright, I'll fix that. It's fine. Now we're making accumulators, we can... Oh dear, what a disaster. We're making accumulators en masse now. Let's not forget that the EM plants have a 50% productivity bonus in as well, so even just making accumulators somewhere like this will give you a lot of accumulators very quickly. Throw some quality modules in there if you like, and it's all good. Oh, here we go. I'm hand feeding some down here anyway. There we go. Look at that. Oh, we'll do this just because it's satisfying. Everyone likes to see the robots going and flying and doing a big job every now and then. Yes, off you go. Very satisfying. How's Navis doing? The tree farm is in. You can see that it has definitely made a dent in the pollution. We're just waiting for the initial set for the seeds to permeate down. Oh, and of course, I made a mistake, didn't I? So up here, I was burning excess seeds, but I was burning excess seeds on a logistics network connection. So as such, these ones down here are also going to fulfill that condition. So these too many seeds were being burnt. Don't do that. Too many seeds were being burnt, and not enough were going through. I also added a constant combinator to just sort of stop and start this process at will, because, as I say, the trees do the most for pollution when they're taking damage from the pollution value being over 60. So there are cases where you don't want the trees, fully grown trees, to be harvested because they're doing more for you by absorbing those pollution values. You can see there every now and then it just takes a big chunk, it takes a big number out like that. That'll be a tree taking some damage somewhere. Let's go into editor mode, shall we, and speed this up. Just so we can watch it actually happen in front of our eyes. Whereas a tree that's growing, that can't happen to it. Oh, one just went over there. It does happen. He says confidently. That one just did it as well. So then once like enough of that has happened, then we can just turn this constant combinator on. It sets all of the things going, plant a fresh bunch of trees, and off we go. It's a slow process, but it's something to do, you know, while we whittle the hours away in our finite lives. What the hell is he talking about? I don't know. Fulgora at full speed, 64 times speed, is also mostly fine. Mostly fine. Don't have enough supercapacitors because they're, yeah, this is where the jamming of this comes in. This is where we need to start doing something about this issue. So let's jump forward in time and double check that. Okay, I put a lot of work into this. It doesn't look like I have. It looks like an absolute mess. But there are a lot of things going on here. And there are even more things later. 2 belts of scrap. Because we need to increase holmium ore production. 2 belts of scrap. If you do 2 belts of scrap like this, it never jams, right? This is different from... let's just break it, for example. This is different from this. And it doesn't look like it would be, but it is. So the issue you have here is that any iron gear wheels on this side have to fill this splitter and then go here and then go in here and then go in here. But because iron gear wheels are so abundant in the scrap, can cause a blockage at this section. As you can see, absolutely nothing else is going this way. It's also because anything that's an iron gear wheel comes this way, anything that's not an iron gear wheel goes this way. Let's use a different colour. Anything that's not an iron gear wheel goes this way. So you're already at this point consolidating 2 entire belts of scrap into one, and it doesn't really work. If you do this, then obviously you can see that that's different. This belt of scrap, all the iron gear wheels go this way, the other stuff goes this way. Whoops, that's not right. This belt, the iron gear wheels go this way, and the other stuff goes this way, but then this one is a completely separate belt. It does not interact with this splitter at all. And so all the iron gear wheels go this way, and then extra stuff goes this way. Keeps it separate. It's very small, it's very minor, but it looks over-engineered, but it is actually very specifically doing the thing that I want it to do. Solid fuel is being turned into rocket fuel, and then the rest of it is being scrapped. Rocket fuel is basically free on Falcora because you can just make so much of it from the solid fuel and the water. Sorry, not the water, the light oil, which you only need water and heavy oil to make. This one chemical plant makes 900 a minute. This only uses 300 a minute, and it still makes 45 rocket fuel, which is, you know, a lot. Not loads, but a decent amount. Concrete, excess concrete, you can turn 10 concrete into hazard concrete, which has an exceedingly fast craft time, which means it has an insanely fast scrap time. I am putting it on the scrap thing. It might even be the case that you just scrap it manually, right? Like you do something like this. Because it just scraps so quickly. The concrete doesn't. Because the concrete craft time is a lot higher. But yeah, then you could also fix that by doing this. But anyway, for now I'm not doing that. Just putting everything to be scrapped on this line, so at least if I do want to keep anything or do anything with it, I can sort that. Stone into landfill, obviously. Landfill, half a second to craft 50 stone, so that's obviously what you do with excess stone. Gear wheels is your biggest headache, of course it is. The secret, the big dirty dark secret, is turn it into blue belts and then scrap the blue belts. Oh my god, you can't do that. Is that legal? It is. Fortunately it is. Recycled gear wheels turn into iron plates and gear wheels turn into yellow belts and gear wheels turn into red belts gear wheels, and a bit of lubricant turns into blue belts. I say a bit of lubricant. It's actually a lot more lubricant than you would think it is. No, I wanted the lightning rod, thank you. There we go. It's a lot more lubricant than you think it would be to keep this running at full speed, constantly. Keep some blue belts, scrap excess blue belts. Those turn into, obviously, goes back into gear wheels and red belts, but you can feed those back into an assembly. This doesn't work, by the way. I realised later this doesn't work. The ratios aren't quite right. But it's roughly something like this. This will eat so many gear wheels. So many gear wheels. It's not even funny, really. If you ever have a problem with your gear wheels on Fulgora, then this is definitely the way to go. Just turn it into blue belts for free, and then scrap the blue belts. I think the reason people don't often think about doing it like this is because it's kind of like, what's the point in having all these blue belts if I don't then have blue undergrounds or blue splitters? But I can see that. I can see why it's weird to just make blue belts but not make any undergrounds or splitters, but you can just bring those in if you really want to. Or just make them by hand. Except you can't make them by hand. You can make the the red undergrounds by hand and then put them into another assembly machine that makes... Anyway. Ice, unfortunately, is irritating to scrap for some reason. You just get so much of it. It's very quick to scrap, of course it is, but there is another little trick you can do, and that involves turning it into barreled water. Have you ever scrapped a barrel of water? Barrels are very easy and quick to make. You could just scrap the barrels to get rid of the steel, but the steel goes best into steel chests in the same way that iron does. So you can also do this with the steel. Just turn excess steel into steel chests and scrap that. The bottleneck here is actually the fact that there's a substation here and... Oh wait, no, don't drag it from there. Don't drag it from there. Drag it from there. That makes more sense. There we go. Don't take it off the main line, take it off the excess line. There we go. Anyway, and then water. This uses a hell of a lot of water. 312 water. Which is way more than this even makes. So you do need to put like some sort of fail-safe in here to not scrap water unless... But this is the benefit. This is why I always try and use a fluid monitor for every single fluid I have, because then it's very easy to set that up with a pump. If you were just making water and not storing it and making it on demand, then to do anything involving, oh, if I've got too much water, because this is the issue. This is the thing with Fulgora. Everything on Fulgora is what if this, but too much. You always need a plan for what if I have too much of this, because if you have too much of any one individual item, it blocks the whole system up. Right? If Iron Gear Wheels is full, then nothing goes past this point, and then so you don't get anything else. So if you just say make barrels of water and scrap them when water is more than water, hello? 90,000, let's say. I know which way the arrows go, alright? Don't get on my case. This will very quickly get rid of a lot of your ice for you. It's already basically fine. You could even speed these up, actually, just to really plough through it. red circuits, you will eventually get enough red circuits. You will fill it with red circuits and processing units, but then by the time you get to that point, you probably should just be farming quality modules. And then if your holmium fills up, or if anything fills up because you have too much like science, and this is when you can just turn the whole system off, right? So what I like to do is use a decider combinator, hook that up to the logistics network, hook that up to a belt, and then basically read everything important in the system that I want. So electromagnetic science packs, read logistics network contents. Why are you not working? Oh, it's just there's literally none, that's why. Read electromagnetic science packs and electromagnetic plants, and you know, something else you may want to farm here, or just may want to always make sure you've got a backlog of because of reasons, so like holmium plates for example. And just once you've got X amount of that, just send an output to the scrap belt. Don't put it there though. Put it there. That would make more sense. And just say don't work when X is 1. Or enable when X is 0. So if X ever becomes 1 because all 3 of your conditions are true, or just one of them is true, or whatever, then you can just turn scrap off. And the benefit of turning scrap off is that it still allows like any excess to just work its way through the system. You can then like your backlog of scrap will just sort of clear itself out, so then when the system does kickstart again, it's not coming from a position of being full. I made a small change up here. I don't know why I was bringing the plastic all the way up here, because the plastic only needs to go into superconductor, so the plastic stops here and only allows excess green circuits get scrapped when there's not enough plastic. You will always have enough green circuits on the belt. It's plastic you won't have enough of. I think I said the opposite of that earlier, but so if you don't have enough plastic, you need to start scrapping more green circuits so that the processing units go through the system, so that you get red circuits, so you get plastic. And then the same with the copper, right? The copper, you've got 2 ways of making the copper. The copper that comes out from the cables from the red circuits. But if this is ever jammed and you need an extra injection, you can add that to. You can add the circuits that are coming from the main scrap. So you just keep a stockpile of copper plates here and say if there's ever less than X amount of copper plates, and I've elected for that to be 500, then just start bringing in copper cable from the main scrap. You don't get much of this, but you do get enough to warrant using, and it scraps very quickly if you need it to, so I don't really have any issues with putting it on the main line. Low density structures, you will eventually fill up with low density structures. I think if you have too many low density structures, there's not much great you can do with it. They take forever to scrap. No, they don't take that long to scrap, but they take enough time to scrap that it's irritating. But then you also get copper, steel and plastic out of it, which is annoying to scrap. I haven't found a good thing to do with this yet. It tends to be that if I ever have loads of low density structures, I just make more rockets. What they go into... Obviously you can't really do that. Can't do that. I can't really do cargo bays. There really isn't a good thing to do with low density structures, but thankfully it is the second most rare thing to get. So this is, if you haven't noticed, sorted by the commonality of the rarity of this, so your rarest thing at the bottom. So this is very quickly getting full, but it's probably the case with low density structures that you don't clog up the main line with this. You scrap these specifically. You can also, of course, scrap them to get the copper and the plastic you need for this process, right? Because this does need plastic vials and copper. But then you have excess steel that you don't need anything to do with. But I suppose you could then turn that into steel plates, into steel chests and scrap those. So this is fine. This worked. As I say, I left this in editor mode at 64 times speed for a long time. Didn't have any issues with it. Especially if you're turning off the input when you're full of all the stuff that you want. Alright, cool. Very complicated, I suppose, but it works. It works. Let's move on. Okay. The last thing we want to do here, other than covering the whole area in concrete, of course, just for fun, is Fulgor is a really good place to start farming quality modules for your eventual quality endeavours. Because the EM plants give you a 50% productivity bonus on the modules. They've got 5 module slots for quality as well, so I just like to generally leave this going and just farm quality modules. So then as each quality module goes in the system, it increases the general quality of everything, and then once we get a backlog of uncommon ones, I change them all to uncommon, and then on to rare, and then, you know, just leave it running, basically. This will help you with your backlog of red circuits. You can siphon green circuits off the scrap for this very easily. Substations is a good one for your excess as well. The hell? No. Absolutely not. So you can take excess copper cable, steel plates and advanced circuits to just sort of farm quality substations. These only take half a second to build, so they scrap very quickly. Yeah, there's your steel chests, quality ones being farmed for some reason. Did I fix this? Yes, this works a lot better. So rather than outputting the scrap from the blue belts into an assembler, just put it back on the system and then just tell your inserters to pull primarily from this side. So this is just saying this inserter turns off if there are red belts here. But you will never have enough iron gear wheels to worry about putting a condition in for that. It's just this inserter doesn't work if there are red belts here to use, so then that way you don't clog the whole system up. And now this is working. The stupid flashing lights are still here. Don't worry, I'll get rid of them in a bit. We're bringing in the electromagnetic science packs, and we have just researched the mech armor. I saved it as I put the stuff in because I didn't want anyone to think, like if I reload this save, I didn't want anyone to think that I was stood here farming, you know, doing the whole restart thing to get the mech armor. I just gave it one go. If I got a rare one, then so be it. Obviously I didn't. We got a mech armor. It's one of the other really, really good things that you go to Fulgora for. Had to add more scrap. Added these here just to tidy up this small little bit. It's all good. It's all good. It works. It's a spaghetti mess, of course it is, but I'm happy with it. I'm happy that we're not too beholden to logistics bots. Logistics bots just bring in the spare holmium to make EM plants and the quality farm down here and a few other things, but it's fine. It's all good. It's all good. All right, let's get that mech armor on, shall we? Oh yes. Just fill it up with whatever I've got. I'll fix this later. Obviously, it's really not important. We'll go back to Navis and fill it up with cool stuff. So that's Fulgora. That's how I tackle Fulgora anyway. We got lucky with the size of this island, but you can see that I didn't even use half of it. You can make it even more efficient if you just use logistics robots. And the circuit network, and you just put everything into a chest and then have a circuit condition that just brings in. So this is how I did it in my other save file, right? You can if you're not aware, you can use a decider combinator to the logistics network and then do each signal. So then if any of the signals in the logistics network is more than, you just pick a random number, 10,000, then you output that signal. So this is giving you every item in the logistics network that has more than this number, so in this case 10,000. And then you can hook that up to a requester chest, do set requests, and it will bring you, oh, don't do it exactly like that. Do it by input count of 1. Alright, there we go. Now this is sending you 1 signal for everything. Then you can hook that up to an arithmetic combinator to say multiply each signal by a sensible number of things to put in a requester chest, so let's say 200. There we go. Then you hook that up to a requester chest. Do set request. So this will bring you 200 of everything that is more than 10,000 in the system. Then you can put that onto a recycler. Put that into a purple chest and bring everything back in. This is of course extremely intensive on logistics robots, but is extremely foolproof. Like, extremely foolproof. You can just copy and paste this as many times as you need to, and as long as your signal goes all the way across. This also ensures that you are getting, like, everything as well. So this ensures that you're getting copper plates, plastic bars, you know, other things that come from scrap that you wouldn't otherwise get. Yeah, green circuits when your processing units go above 10,000, etc. So this is another completely valid way to handle it if you're using logistics robots, but I decided to not do it this way because even though it is pretty foolproof, it does make things quite complicated from like a readability point of view. Like, what's working, what's not working, what am I missing, what am I not missing, what do I need more of, etc. At least if I do it like this, which is why I've done it like this time, it's a little bit more readable, you know, it's a little bit more like, oh, Holmium's a bit lacking. If you have a really large... Let me see if I can load my other save file, actually, and we'll just have a quick post-mortem on why that system doesn't work as well as I'd like. Wow! This is from, Broadcast from Space Age. And yeah, so the scrap goes into a box, the boxes send it into the logistics system, and then the logistics system reads anything above, the current number is 20,000 in fact, and puts that into scraps that into a box, and then puts that back into into this monstrosity. So you can see that it does work, but it's a lot harder to see what might not be working and why it's not working, right? And then obviously the mul parameterization here to just make anything and everything that I want, and it makes everything that I want, and it takes up a lot less space. And I got more unlucky here with how far away my scrap was, so I did it via direct mining into trains. And this is also another way to do this. I know I'm going on and on and on. I know this video's ended up being a lot longer than I'd usually make them, but somebody left me a comment about how they would be interested to see how I tackle scrap, so I am giving that person the content that they want. So I hope that was helpful as well. Wowzers. This was the old broadcast series, Season 3, what I called Season 3. 30 episodes! Just find an episode that's... Oh yeah, episode 26 on Fulgora. Don't sync my mods, just load the damn game, please. Yeah, sure, whatever. I put a exception for holmium ore into this, obviously. Don't scrap it if it's holmium plates and holmium ore. That also works if you really, really want to keep something. So that's quite helpful. But yeah, it's a mess of logistics bots. Absolute mess of logistics bots. But it works. For the most part. Very slowly. Okay. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please let me know with a like or a comment. And if you want to see more broadcasts from Space Age, be sure to subscribe. Now we've got all the cool stuff we want. Next time we can go to Vulcanus and start upscaling. Start going XL on Vulcanus, because we need to get green belts into space. We're going to be bottlenecked by the speed that we can get green belts into space, basically. It feels like. So let's get lots of rocket launches done on Vulcanus, then we can get green belts into space, and we can send the green belts everywhere and get lots of cool stuff sorted. We're approaching the mid-game now. We've got we got the 4 inner planets done. We're approaching the mid-game. I was thinking actually last night, just to myself, it does make a lot of sense to make your hub Glebber, because Glebber is the only planet that connects directly to the other 4 planets. The problem with making your hub on Navis is that to go to Aquila, you have to go to Glebber or Fulgora first. Fulgora doesn't connect to Vulcanus, but Glebber does connect to Vulcanus. So there's actually a very strong case to make your central hub Glebber, because it is the central planet. You can just go to any of the other planets and back directly. So that's an interesting thing to think about. Anyway, alright. Take it easy. See you next time. Bye-bye.